Hello everyone and welcome back to the celebration of 10 years with Engineer Code. Now I'm here with Nicholas Hayduk. Hey Nicholas, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You've been a big contributor to this company for 10 years. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's one of those things that kind of feels like yesterday that we were getting started. I did a couple of years of kind of independent consulting before kind of taking the leap and starting a company. So yeah, it's been a heck of a ride for sure.
Wow. Okay. So just to level up a bit, we did this the other way around, and I wanted to kind of interview you because I felt like you needed to answer these questions as well. So I'm going to play you, and you're going to answer your own questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's dive in. First, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do for a living and what you do for fun?
Sure. So yes, my name is Nicholas Hayduk, the owner of Engineered Code. Microsoft MVP. I specialize in Power Pages development. Do lots of content, blogs, videos, podcasts, community calls, all that sort of stuff. But mostly related to Power Pages. For fun, my vice is golf, so I play a lot of golf. In the summer, over the winter, I like to vacation to where it's warmer so I can play golf. Watch golf, that's kind of my things. But sports in general, that's what I do. So I'm either usually playing sports or working.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Because you mentioned all the things that I mentioned as fun, you mentioned for work. That's interesting. I wish I had a hobby. Maybe I should take up golfing.
You should.
What is your favorite thing about golfing? What? Because I don't get it. For someone that doesn't get golfing at all, what is it about golfing?
I like individual sports. It's like, I love playing team sports, but like that's just much more difficult to organize, right? So I play on a volleyball team, but it's like once a week at a certain time, and sometimes people can't go. Whereas with golf, like you can play by yourself. So it's individual, but you still get the camaraderie of playing with people. So, I play with my dad all the time, or I play with there's one guy I play probably 80 rounds a year with, and so it's like, you can play. You can kind of make a team game out of it if you want to, but for the most part, it's like it's you versus the course, and so you're not dependent on anyone else, and it's kind of up to you to decide how much fun you want to have.
Wow, I love that because I always thought it had to do with the ball and the club. It has nothing to do with that.
I'm just not. I'm not good enough to care too much about how I actually. I mean, I do care about how I play. But I'm not really that good, so I can't get too upset because I'm just not that good at it.
Wow, I think it's one of those things that you start out and you feel like you're getting kind of good, and then the better you get, the worse you feel like you're getting. Because I've never met someone who's really good at golf that will say that they're good at golf.
Yeah,
the better they are, the worse they feel.
Especially for the amount that I play, I'm not that good.
Wow. Oh, that's so, yeah. Yeah.
But it's still fun. Mind. Like, it's one of those things where it's like even a bad day golfing is usually better than, a good day of something else. So.
Oh, everyone needs that in their life. Perfect. I'm so happy for you they found that. All right. So tell me, what's your first memory of ADX Studio or Power Apps Portals or Power Pages or Call of the Beast, what you want? Tell me, what's your first experience?
Yeah. So I was finishing up my university in 2009 and trying to figure out where I should, take a job. And so I moved kind of halfway across the country to go to university, and I was trying to decide, should I stay and, find a job where I went to university, or should I move back closer to home? I eventually made the decision, hey, I should move back closer to home. I come from a relatively small town, so I wasn't really expecting to get a job in my hometown, but there's kind of two major centers in my province. And my cousin happened to be working at some company I'd never heard of, and he said, hey, I work in a software company. You do software, why don't you come work with me? And so actually two of my cousins worked there, like they're brothers. And I was like, well, that sounds great. I mean, it's a software development job and I get to work with my cousins. How bad could it be? Well, that company was ADX Studio. So that just happened to be the place that I got a job out of school. I had no idea who they were. The only reason I was there was because my cousins happened to work there. And, they were able to get me an interview, got the job. And, the rest is history. So when I got there in 2009, the ADX Studio was still kind of mostly working on, they had a .NET CMS that had nothing to do with CRM before that. So the whole kind of CRM thing was just kind of coming out at that time. I think they were probably maybe working on it, but within a year, you could see that was where their focus was. So I remember working on a project where they said, hey, here's a CRM. You're going to go design a fruit and vegetable dispute resolution system in CRM. And then once I'd built that out, no portals on that. And then there was another project where they said, hey, then you're going to add this to the website. And then, ever since then, that was what XRM portals they called that. And then, eventually ADX Studio portals and so on and so forth.
Wow, that's so cool. Oh, you were one of the OGs for sure. One of the first names to pop up when I dove into it to, trying to scramble to find someone that knew something about this beast. And then, Nick Dolman showed up and your name showed up. And I was kind of cross-eyed. Did I see that right? Is that the Canadian Nick with the power? Yeah. And it's always fun in the community. We kind of see double when you guys are together. It's fun. All right,
if we ever had to lift weights together, you wouldn't see double. That's for sure.
Yeah, but what do you think he would do at golf? Really?
Yeah.
Brute.
He's more of a brute force, not a finesse kind of guy. I'm assuming. Yeah.
We all have our strengths. Let's put it like that. All right. Yeah. So, which of the many names? Because now you kind of put a new name on the block that I haven't. So XRM. Portals?
Yeah, I think XRM Portals was like the name kind of before ADX Studio Portals, because there was that whole XRM. There was the I know with Julie Yak, Shan helped kind of found the XRM user group, and so I think way back in the day there were some other names for it, but yeah.
And then Dynamics 365 Portals, and so which one is your favorite of all of these?
I think. I don't mind Power Pages, but I think the word portals, I think is a nice, it's a nice descriptor. So, Power Apps Portals, I think was good as long as you refuse to brand it the way Microsoft does with the lowercase p. I'd never put the lowercase p on portals. It's always Power Apps Portals, all capitals. That's the only way to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I subscribe to that. So, what's your favorite feature of Power Pages then?
Yeah, I think if you're building a Power Pages site and you're not leveraging lists and forms, I kind of question as to why you might be using that product. It's not cheap, and so if you're going to build all that stuff out with custom, JavaScript, web API, all that sort of stuff, and you're not going to touch lists and forms. I think you might be better off just doing it completely custom and saving yourself on licenses. I think the lists and forms functionality is fantastic. Even if it's like long term, you kind of move away for it. But like to get things up quickly, like nothing beats putting up a list and a form. And so that's where I see the real value in the product.
I'm not going to argue with you with kind of your track record, but from a visual standpoint, it looks like something from the 90s. Do you do you see that as an issue at all?
I do see. I know. I'm very excited to see the new the modern list functionality. So I totally agree that it might even be the 80s that it looks like. With a little bit of CSS love, you can certainly make it nicer. So I prefer to see people enhance the look and feel of it, but still use some of that base functionality if possible.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. Thank you. I'm with you all the way. So the least favorite then, if you could remove one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. I've asked so many people this. I don't know if I've really kind of thought about it myself.
So now your mind is primed, so now you can't say what anyone else. You have to pick a new one.
I think for me that my least favorite thing about it is that some of the features that people think are going to be awesome maybe aren't as awesome as they think they are, and yet they don't. It's kind of unclear. So I'll use, say, the SharePoint integration or the Power BI integration as examples where people think, oh, it's like integrated with SharePoint. So that means I'm going to be able to like click on a document, edit it. I'm going to get all my change tracking. I'm going to be able to upload my metadata. And it's like, no, like the SharePoint integration is pretty basic. Power BI, it's like, oh, great. Like rather than paying for licenses for people, I'll just dump my Power BI report on a on a Power Pages site. And it's like, no, like then you have to pay for Power BI embedded, and that's like not cheap. So I think there's just a few features in there where they've checked off some boxes to say, hey, you can do this with Power Pages, but really it's not quite there. So we do deal with quite a bit of disappointed. It's usually the partners that have kind of gone in and haven't done their due diligence to say what does this actually do, and then they're like, hey, like we've turned on the basic SharePoint, but like where's the button to like really make it work? It's like that button doesn't exist. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And then your latest tip is about the Power BI thing, isn't it? I saw that yesterday.
Yeah, I think we had a meme about the Power BI. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I need to call something out because you say we. We had a comment somewhere the other day on LinkedIn. Someone thought that there was a team around our podcast, and Nick and I was going, he thinks there's a team. But with you, it is actually a team. Engineer Code is not just you, is there?
That's
there
true.
Are many people. Yeah. Can you just quickly tell me about the team? Who is we?
So we have there's, including myself, we got 10 staff, mostly developers, developers and kind of CRM customization, all that sort of stuff. So kind of all technical staff. We've got one person who helps me with produce these types of videos, helps me with the social media and some of the marketing stuff. But the rest we're technical folks, right? So whether it's developer or doing solutions. Primarily focused on Power Pages. We do a little bit of WordPress work as well. Mostly about half of us were here in Regina, Saskatchewan, and the other people work from home in various parts of Canada. So we're all based in Canada. About half of us are in the office here.
Wow, that's so nice to have that kind of distributed workforce. I really like that. So you have a memes person. Who's making?
Well, I do them. I do the memes, but he kind of schedules them and produces them and all that sort of stuff. But
so you're making them.
I'm making them, yeah. Well,
because we had a theory that you had a memes person that,
I'm the memes. Unless you don't like them, then yes, I have a memes person. But no, the memes are on my list. In fact, that's on my list. I'll probably have to do some more over the weekend. I usually do like 6 to 8 at a time for a couple months worth, and then because we essentially do one a week. But I'm the guy. I'm not much of a meme guy otherwise, so I have to like look up like what memes are out there, and then I try and figure out how it fits into Power Pages. But yeah, those are mine.
Oh, those are so much fun. Keep it up. It's very funny. Oh, yeah, that's so good. Okay, so you've been in this game for a while. If you were to give yourself some advice from when you started out or someone starting out today with Power Pages, what would be your number one tip for them?
I think you stole my tip, which is the developer side, but I'm not going to use that. So let me think of something else. What would I tell someone? I think someone else may have mentioned this as well in some of the interviews, but I think the number one thing is just identifying like there's so much content out there, and some of it is tied in up with kind of some of the old like names of things. So understanding kind of the history of the product, the different names, I think is important. I know whenever we're doing training, I always spend a couple minutes just being like, hey, here's the history. And it's like, well, I'm not giving history just because it's fun. I'm giving history. So if you look at one of my blog posts from 5 years ago that talks about Dynamics 365 portals, there's about a 95% chance that it is still a perfectly valid blog post. Like not much has changed. For sure, the difference between the ADX Studio product and then the Microsoft version, there's some significant differences there. Like there'll be lots of things you could do before that you can't now. But anything since 2015, like there's going to be very few things that are out of date, other than the actual name of the product, or was it basic forms, web forms, advanced forms, multi-step forms. Like things have changed their name a lot, but the actual functionality hasn't changed. So I think understanding that history and those different names will open up a lot more content than you may realize.
Yeah, well, that's so true. And I feel maybe the biggest shift that I see, I've had a lot of comments after we transitioned over to Bootstrap 5 simply because the code that I have on my blog post doesn't work seamlessly anymore. So now I get comments like, oh, this is not working. This is a crazy... And then I go in and look and I change a few simple, small things and it works. Yep. Just because the syntax changed or the classes that I'm connecting it to changed or something in the DOM something. So... yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's easy to transition it over. But it's probably the biggest thing.
I do get a lot of comments about like, okay, your thing does this, but I need it to do this. What's the JavaScript for that? And it's like, well, I'm not really here to write your JavaScript for you. So if you, and it's like usually it's fairly minor changes. So it's like if you don't know JavaScript well enough to to make these tweaks. Like, I'm kind of worried for your project because you're just going to be grabbing stuff and putting it in there. And it's like, is this going to work? So, yeah. So to your point about knowing the development side, I think that is an important skill. You don't necessarily have to be a full pro code dev person, but I think at least some background in there is going to be useful.
Yeah. And I love that you share these small things, because this is, your voice in my head. You don't, I think I told you this once, but every time I feel stressed out about something, I'm not prepared enough, or I'm doing a presentation, I feel way in over my head, I'll hear your voice in my head going, Ulrikke, you're doing this for free. This is for fun. You're giving them your time for free. It's going to be as good as it is, and it's going to be better or more than if you're not doing anything. And I just love, you told me that, I don't know how many years ago that is, and I will still pick that up and go, that's true. I do this for fun. I do this in my spare time, and it's okay. And I'll settle in, and it's all good. And the same thing, you did that same thing now, because this weekend I was looking at maybe going through all my blog posts and kind of updating all the codes that I works with the new portals to help people that kind of cannot grab that and kind of work with it to make it fit. Well, exactly to your point, if you're going to do a Power Pages project, you should know enough HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to grab that code and change it slightly to make it work. So yeah, thank you for being in my head.
I'm not planning on going through my old blog posts to update the stuff if they can't figure it out. Maybe there'll be a blog post about how you transition, but it should be like, hey, take that blog post, follow this blog post, and you should be good to go.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Thank you. Okay, so anything else? Anything you want to plug? Anything that you're doing in the next couple of the year?
I think my next conference is going to be the Summit North America in, I always get confused between, I think it's San Antonio. It was in Austin, Texas a few years ago, but I believe this year's in San Antonio, so that's in October. Otherwise, throughout the summer, we're going to keep up with our tips. We're going to have our community calls. I'll be working on blogs, so all the regular content, no plans to change. So,
very good. Thank you so much, Nick, for answering all the questions that you wrote for the celebration of your company's 10-year anniversary. Good job. And from the bottom of my heart and from everyone else around, the community calls and the weekly tips and the amount of content you've put out there throughout all of these years is really, none of us would be here without it. We just depend upon it like we depend upon documentation. So yeah, I'm doing a Power Portal lunch thing in a couple of weeks, and you're always in there. That's top resource. Yeah, follow Nick. He knows what he's doing. And that's not the other Nick, that's you.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, and what a great idea of you to switch this around on me and do this, so I appreciate that. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's the least I could do. It was a great pleasure. And you did very well, I must say.
All right, well, I wasn't prepared.
Oh, we sound like you were. It's all good. Well, thank you for now, and enjoy and have fun and have a good evening to you and everyone else.
All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.